Hey guys, how's it going? PPL fans, Brandon here, analyst for your Division 1 recaps, along with my good pal, Trogaholic.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm excited to be here and do PPL analyzing stuff. Hooray. This is going to be fun.
Hooray! It's gonna be good fun. This is the first time I'm doing any sort of stuff like this. It's definitely interesting. It was massive honour when Jack come and asked me to do this sort of stuff. I did apply to be a coach in D2, but didn't get through. So, starting from the bottom, well, it's not the bottom, because we got a lot of work to do and a lot of stuff to get through. Week 1.
Week 1, what a fantastic week.
It was. The battles were absolutely amazing for a week 1 coming out the bat. A lot of things could show, and you could see certain aspects. There's going to be a lot of stuff. I'm looking forward to next week now.
Absolutely.
Just seeing how different people come back and do different things. And obviously some people got to bounce back. Some people have got momentum going forward.
We had so many surprisingly close matches that it's still so up in the air on who could come out on top at this point. Some coaches obviously did show more dominance in the differential, but that really doesn't show how close some of these matches were.
No, it's come down to one or two plays could have changed an entire match, and it's what we like to see. Is you don't. I think it's more interesting where I think it's a league where anyone could beat anyone. Just one play and that's it. One mistake and anyone could beat anyone. And I think that's what is going to make the PPL one of the upcoming, it's the fifth season. It's why the PPL is still growing strong and people are still tuning in. And, we want to get these analyst videos, and we turn around and we said we're going to try and make this the best season so far by trying to keep on top of everything. So... should we get on with the first matchup?
Let's get right on into it.
So, first matchup we have, it's...
Pollymag and the West Coast Wingles versus Ruby Marrow and the Cleveland Bros.
A good show from both competitors, definitely. It ended being a 3-0 win to Ruby. But, I'd say it was some interesting stuff. We went through everything. Overall, if you guys haven't seen that battle, definitely. If you haven't seen any of the battles this week, all of them were absolutely incredible. Overall, both players made some absolutely some great picks and some great strategies in there. The other thing we did say was Pollymag side about the Mega Sizzle.
Right. So Pollymag, let's just go through his roster real quick. He brought Bianchao, Mega Scizor, Thunderous, Therian, Toxapex, Garchomp, and Gourgeist, and Ruby Marrow brought Marowak, Alolan, Mamoswine, Pelipper, Kingdra, Tapu Koko, and Scolipede. First thing you notice, of course, is Ruby brought the rain against Paul, so he's got to deal with rain sweepers first.
Definitely rain straight away. I think with Gen 6 and Pelipper getting obviously the drizzle ability has proper given Pelipper some more meaning and I think
absolutely. And with Hurricane
exactly
and
how it's meant to be used.
It's probably gonna be the premier rain setter, and Politoed will just be left in the shadows.
Very true, very true.
And interesting to see that he's got Tapu Koko, which when you get rain up and you have electric terrain, you can just hit thunders like it's nobody's business. So that's pretty scary.
Yeah. It's massively scary. I don't know. It was one of those matches where stuff happened straight away off the bat. It was, I think, Garchomp. Was it Garchomp? Or am I talking the wrong one?
Garchomp got
Garchomp got a kill straight off the bat. It was a earthquake on something.
The Alolan Marowak, but I'm pretty sure that was meant to be a suicide lead just to get rocks up. So it basically
it was to get rocks up.
It did its job, but that was right away a 6-5 advantage is always really huge.
Yeah, but I say no matter what Pokemon it is, if you've got one less Pokemon going into the battle pretty much off the bat, it's a slight disadvantage really. But I think the way Ruby used the rain was really well. Paulie did it very well to deal with it. We both said obviously with the Mega Scizor, he left it in. It did get burnt off the Scald. We did say that you leave something in against a Scald user, it's going to get burned.
You're going to get hit with a Scald and you're going to get burned. And Pollymag did mention...
It's one of those things.
Pollymag did mention that his Mega Scizor would have taken on quite a few things on Ruby's team, which he absolutely needed it around. He needed it not just at full health, but also healthy, because now that he's got a Scizor burn, now Mamoswine can run all over the place, and Scolipede can run all over the place, which it eventually did.
Yeah. It was just waiting for the right moment to bring out Scolipede, and it did its job what it needed to do.
And let's also mention how while Ruby did get the Scolipede sweep, he very nearly got a Kingdra sweep earlier in the match.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the Surf on the Garchomp was definitely a roll, and if Ruby would have gone for the Hydro and hit, he definitely said, like, watching his side of it, it definitely could have been something that gone onto a Kingdra sweep. Because looking at the team, we said we were surprised that he didn't bring special defensive Toxapex.
Right, because...
And he did say afterwards that he should have done.
Because when you have, like, so many threatening, like, special attackers, I know certain things like Mamoswine and Scolipede are super scary, but when you bring all physical bulk on a team, that's just asking for Kingdra to do its thing against you.
Yeah, like you're saying, with the Tapu as well, it was one of those aspects where, you know, it came down to the Gourgeist and the Dazzling Gleam, and if he'd have done special defense Gourgeist, he would have been able to do more, but obviously when the Tapu doing over half, all he could do was a Shadow Sneak to get some damage off it, and that's all straight away a Gourgeist done. And as you know, Gourgeist can bulk out teams quite easily with the Leech Seed Harvest set. I don't know if that was the type of set he brought. He didn't really talk about Gourgeist much, because obviously it come in and it was gone within 2 turns, unfortunately, with the Tapu. But he used the Mamoswine well. It was threatening, which is what he needed it to do. I think it caused Paulie more trouble than he thought it would.
Especially when you let Scizor get so crippled, which would otherwise have been a great way to come in and threaten it back out.
Yeah, definitely. With the burn on the Mega Scizor, it was obviously when it come in. He was hoping for an Ice type move, and Ruby was able to get off the Earthquake, which did early on, which certainly showed a threat in how threatening Mamoswine could be. I've definitely got to say that I think the MVP for this battle was definitely the Pelipper.
Definitely the Pelipper.
Ruby used it. I don't want to say perfectly, because there was a few things obviously with the U-turn and what he could have done with it, but it was definitely the MVP for me in this match. It was definitely the difference between the two teams, and was able to help Kingdra do so much damage. I still think that obviously going down to the Garchomp, it wouldn't have done if he'd gone for Hydro, which is a massive aspect, but at the end of the day, it was a very good battle between them both.
Very good battle, very solid 3-0, and while it does show like Ruby was the more dominant player, it was a lot more back and forth than it would otherwise show.
Yeah, it wasn't more of a whitewash 3-0. It was a back and forth. It was a very strategic match, and it was very well played by both. And I know Paulie is a very good battler, so I don't think he's going to get too down about this. I think he's going to be thinking about it next week and thinking on how he can improve and get his season started. I reckon it's a very good start for Ruby as well. Everyone likes to start off with a win, so I'm sure he's going into his next week's match confident. Obviously, going off a win, you're going to be confident for your next week, and it's a 3-0 as well.
Very strong start to the season.
It's still a strong start to the season, but I don't think Paulie should get down about it in any way, shape, or form. It's a very good match. He shouldn't be upset about anything that he did. Maybe the prep, you know, like we said, with special events, Toxapex, and special events of Gourgeist. But these things happen. I'm sure you just got to move on and kickstart your season. It's a long way to go. One match down. It's still a long way to go. You'll be very surprised with what happens.
Let's move on to the next match. We've got... What we got?
Fixtures, here we go.
We've got Jack in the Melbourne Victory Star versus Jack. The Jack, and...
The Jack.
And the Norwich Skitty.
Norwich Skitty. Jack surviving relegation again. He's a sly little bastard, or the Jack, should I say. Obviously, like you said, in his main goal this year is again to avoid relegation. And I was just thinking, where's the mentality in that? He's going straight away thinking about not losing and worrying about it. It was a great, like I say, all these matches were absolutely great. But like he said, the Jack said, he prepped Bulu and Heatran, and then
there is no Bulu and Heatran,
and there is no Bulu and Heatran, and like this is what something you said about Jack's core was Bulu and Heatran, and he won without.
Yeah, because Jack looked at his roster and he thought he knows that Bulu and Heatran are such an insane core that they're going to be over prepped for. So if you can win without them, go for it, because now your opponent's like less prepared for the rest of the things on your roster.
Definitely, and like I said about the Drought Ninetales and the Solar Power Helios modest specs, that Helios did so much work.
I really love the Sun this week. Like, even though Heliolisk only got one solar powered hit off that we saw.
It was a threat.
It was a huge threat. I love Heliolisk in League. It is underrated, and especially in the Sun, modest specs solar power, you do not have switch-ins for it.
No. It's, like I said, Jack said, the Hyper Voice was scary. Obviously, any type of electric type move is going to hurt, and once that Gastrodon went down, any electric type move was going to hurt. Obviously, Togekiss went down to a Volt Switch, the Gastro went down to a Hyper Voice. Jack had something for it. He had the Mach Punch, or D-Jack had the Mach Punch on the Infernape. He was just never able to, Jack was able to deal with it well, obviously with Savali being a fairy, and obviously Latios resisting.
Yeah, Latios I thought was really great this match with the more defensive spread so that it couldn't get worn down so easily, and it took the Jack a little bit of a while to realize that you just need to get straight up damage on this so it's not a nuisance anymore, but it was a nuisance for him the entire game, and I think that's what really prevented him from getting a lot of momentum this game. And you mentioned earlier with Gastrodon going down earlier, it was technically his check for the Heliolisk, but the set that was brought for it still just gets destroyed by a Grass Knot. And with the amount of damage that just got on it so early on, it was not doing its job checking Heliolisk, which just ran through the team.
He brought it for Heliolisk, but it didn't check Heliolisk.
No. If it was a set that he kept healthy with the Rindo Berry, I think that's the Grass Berry, and then I think Gastrodon gets Mirror Coat, that would have been a really...
Yeah, it does get Mirror Coat.
Really easy way to bait in the Heliolisk and just KO it.
Bang, that's it. A Mirror Coat after a Grass Knot from Solar Powered Specs Heliolisk. If the Gastro was done, I'm sure it could take off. I'm not going to calc it now, but I'm sure it would be able to take it with the berry, because the berry's so important in league games. It definitely would have taken that Heliolisk, and it probably could have changed the game, but then we're going back to prep, and as I said, D-Jack. He prepped for Bulu and Heatran.
And then the Ninetales and Heliolisk.
Like I said, the Drought solar panel was a massive factor, and we're saying the first two games we talked about, weather has been a massive factor. So it's definitely something that we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout the league. It certainly is how the weather plays effect, because it's definitely played effect in these first two games. We also said D-Jack also said about how he hasn't done no 7th gen Wi-Fi yet. Are we saying that could have played a part in the match if he had a bit more ability or a little bit more practice with the Z moves and everything that happens? It could definitely play a part, and we're definitely hoping that the founder of the league bounces back after this, because it would be sad to see Norwich Skitty go down.
And let's give a quick shout out to the real MVP of the match, Tauros
just come in and did what it had to do.
Yeah, again,
come in at the end.
Once again, it's showing he has no normal resist, and Tauros just did a great job cleaning up, and it's so great to see such an underrated threat.
It is. People don't realize how quick Tauros is. And like I say, he stuck a scarf on it, and that's all he needed. It outsped the Mega P-Drill. And did it take out the Infernape as well? Yeah, I think Jack clicked close combat instead of Map Punch, and it just body slammed, took out the Infernape, and then took out the P-Drill at the end. Like I said, it come in and it did its job of what it needed to be there for. It finished off, got a couple of kills. It's definitely underrated Mon, and it'd be interesting to see how Jack uses it the rest of the season, because there's so many ways to use it. Obviously, Scarf, Banded,
Sheer Force, Life Orb.
It's sheer Force, Life Orb. It's just it will destroy, and I'm expecting it to get many more kills for Jack as the season goes on.
Really hope to see it in the Golden Pokeball Award for this season. Moving on.
Yeah, I'd love to see Tauros definitely top 5. Fingers crossed for it, because it is overlooked. It is underrated Pokemon, so it'd be great to see it do well this season. And I think Jack's got a very good coach above him with the Melbourne Victory Star getting up their first win of the season. And Don Fanatic Jack hopefully he bounces back, like we said, being the founder. We kind of want him to do well, even though.
And do better than just staying out of relegation. Let's see you sweep the rest of the league.
You're the founder. We want you in the playoffs. Come on. Right. Well, it was well played for both of them. Let's move on to the third game, which was Southampton Sneasels versus Seattle Onyx. Let me find my notes. It was Jordan versus Eric. It was as I say, it's put Eric top of the league with a 5-0.
But Eric at the top of the league with the 5-0. I thought this was a really great game. I think Eric started off really strong with the Cobalion set early game. Yep,
that's the thing. He said in the video that he brought the Cobalion for the Excadrill, because obviously it might be a ground type, but he had the berry. He was prepared for it. And I said that losing Kieran straight away was a massive impact on that fight, being the fact that Lando and Elamai's put in so much work, and obviously Kieran deals with them being an ice type. And I think it was a massive blow.
Kieran was pretty huge early on, and it was just able to make Landorus do its job so much more effectively. Setting up a sub, getting a sword stance, and just sweeping at the end of the game.
Just finishing up. Just finishing what was up. But shout out to Jordan because I actually loved that Rest, Carmine, Hydration, Rain Dance set. I think it's a very powerful set. I reckon I kind of wish he did a bit more with it. I think he could have done more with it.
He could have done more with it, but keep in mind that
I don't know if it was a misplay.
Eric went out into Weavile against the Manaphy. That was again showing rustiness on Wi-Fi, because that was a misclick when it should have been Raikou, which
he was able to take the Raikou out. That was the one loss that Eric did, and he should have. Jordan had a massive chance to take control when obviously he misplayed. I have to admit he was unlucky when it terms of, because every power whip did hit for Eric, and like even he was saying in the video, he hit all 5, which is something like a 30% chance. So you never know; these things happen. Accuracy is a thing in the game. It can bite you in the arse, or it can come through and get you the win and help it. And it definitely crippled the Manaphy having those power whips going off in the demos. Like I said, we don't know if it was a misclick because he went to rest and he was going to run out of rain. So maybe he could have got some more damage off and finish off, but it was. I'm not too sure.
But going for the rest as the rain was running out, definitely let Eric capitalize on that and go out and win from there.
Yeah, it was the opening point where he said the rain's going out. If he rests, it was just a turn of. It was in his favour that the turns were in a way, so. He could bring out the Lando when he needed to. Let's say set up a sub.
And I thought the Landorus set this week was beautiful because, like Eric said, Jordan didn't have a ground immunity, And so getting up a sub, getting up a Swords Dance, especially on Mega Sableye, which right away went for the Willow when he went for a sub, and then he could Swords Dance and won the game without the sub even being broken.
It just wanted, let's say, with Lando, it's one of my favourite competitive mons of all time. With Lando Ethereum, it's one of those things where you definitely need to prep for it properly, because as Eric showed, it can come in, it can do early damage, or it can come in late and just finish up completely. But a good game. I don't think we've seen, like Eric said in the video, that's not, and I don't believe it's Jordan's full potential. I think it's still early on. I reckon he's definitely going to bounce back from this and do something with his team. He hasn't got a weak draft, I would say. A lot of people were a bit skeptical of his draft, but I definitely think he's got some powerful ones in there. Mega Saber, like I said, can stall teams like anything. Sylveon can be used effectively. Executive is an amazing mon, and Manaphy can sweep teams as well.
Manaphy can certainly sweep teams, like we almost saw it doing here. And even though it didn't have a very strong showing right now, I definitely expect it to be up there in the top 10 or almost definitely top 5.
Yeah, it's one of his first round pick, isn't it? It was his first round pick. It's 19 million for a reason. Along with Jirachi is also 19 million. It's one of those ones where it will literally, it's a game changer, and I'm hoping that Jordan's able to use it effectively this season, which I'm sure he can.
Can't wait to see it used effectively. I also want to give a quick shout out to some of Eric's prep. Even though we didn't get to see it, the Weavile with a new move, Throat Chop, which...
Yeah, I didn't know that was even... I saw it and thought, what's Throat Chop?
Which would have, if he got that hit off on Sylveon can't use Hyper Voice anymore, which is a really interesting new mechanic that I was hoping to see in action, but didn't... Well, we didn't get to see it, but I thought that was just a really smart prep.
Yeah, it was a good prep right there. Smart. Hopefully, Eric has the chance to use it again. We get to see it effectively. That'd be awesome to see it used, and to see that mechanic work. I think it would be very interesting, and see if it could. It's a move that could change the game completely.
Yeah, and especially if you're using it on a Z move user, you still get that 80 base power versus Knockoff, which would only be 65 still the whole time. So it's a very solid dark type stab if you can get it. Yeah,
definitely. So well done to Eric for a brilliant first week. Commiserations to Jordan for his first week. I'm sure he's, like I said, he's going to bounce back from it. It's still in the first week, so a lot can still happen. But moving on to the fourth game, we have... Who do we have?
Travesty versus Jolt from the Tokyo Minorities. Travesty and the Canberra Toucannons, and the Jolt with the Toronto Star Raptors.
So as I said, this is the first match of the week that I watched. And we can straight up say that Diggersby was the main factor of this match. Life Orb Diggersby has been shown... literally, Jolt has shown this thing. Will take lives. Will absolutely take lives.
It will take lives, and
if given the chance.
And right now, Diggersby is sitting with 5-1, which I believe is at the very top of the MVP race, the Golden Pokeball Award, which we'll be going over later in this video. But Diggersby just came in and stole the show.
100% definitely just come in, and Trav played a great game.
He played a great game, absolutely. Especially, first thing he said was, "These are the two things that can absolutely body me. So let's go in knowing that."
Yeah, he went in knowing what can hurt and what can happen. We were a bit skeptical, knowing that obviously the Defiant Thunderous, and he's got 3 intimidating ones with Arcanine, Crocodile and Quillfish. Bringing 2 of them and keeping them on Intimidate, I think was risky. It only worked off in the first turn. The second Intimidate was blocked by a Clear Body Registeel.
Right, and Thunderous, when you've got a team with, like you said, 3 Intimidate Mons, and you could bring a really amazing Defiant set, should be be something that Trav should have prepped for, but it seemed to take him off guard, which made Crocodile a lot less useful this game.
Yeah, so yeah, the crook was gone very very quickly. It was able to get out of rocks, and that was the end of it. The Clayborn come in and moon blasted. It was gone. There were lots of switching plays in this game. It was so much back and forth, and like I said, we watched it. We watched both sides, and not sure if they both, or I say both, as in Jolt was able, pretty much like he was reading his Trav's mind of what he was going to switch into, and he did say that some one of the plays he looked like a god for making. Not if he meant it or not. If he did, amazing. He's read him like a book. So we definitely think that some of the plays were a main factor of Jolt's win this week. Diggersby, like I said, getting the 5 kills was definitely a different factor.
It basically would come in and almost guaranteed a kill every time due to Travisty's lack of proper switches for it.
Yeah, I have to admit, like, I don't blame Trav. Like, if he thought this thing was going to have Earthquake, I wouldn't blame him. I would agree. I would have thought that he could have brought off Earthquake. Obviously, he had the return quick attack wild charge return set. But that's great. Great prep, I think, on Jolt's side, knowing that he doesn't need Earthquake. Was awesome, I think.
And I do want to give a shout out to Trav's prep in the Rock Polish Terrakion, which first...
Oh yeah, you were saying about that earlier, weren't you?
Yeah, it had a really... it had a chance to like take the game back almost, I thought. When it got a chance to Rock Polish, it got some big damage done on it by the Clefable. But unfortunately, due to the Life Orb recoil, Diggersby was able to later come in and just quick attack and continue with the Diggersby show.
Yeah, so it was a great strategy by Trav to do Rock Polish Terrakion. Rock Polish Terrakion is scary, and it can take lives. I would not be surprised if Terrakion gets a lot of kills this season, simply because how much we know how much of an absolute monster it is. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see what different kind of sets he uses with it. It's definitely got a bit of range that he can use with it. But it's just waiting to see what different things. That's what's so great about what this is. The first week's happened and we're already excited to see what happens next week with everything that goes on.
And especially because a lot of the players who unfortunately are closer to the bottom of the league table, we know that they're great players, and like I really want to see a game where Trav just does the opposite and brings in Rock Polish Terrakion and it goes 5-0 or 5-1.
Yeah, it just finished up the team. Like he's got looking at his draft now, he's got a strong draft like Z Latius.
Moving on, our next match, Under the Radar Kelly and the Maryland Torterrapins versus Monotui and the Tampa Bay Luxrays.
This was a close match.
This was a really fun match to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed watching both sides of this.
100%. It was a 1-0 victory in the end to Mono. Unfortunately, Kelly Under the Radar still unable to defeat Mono in draft format, but I'm sure he'll get his redemption soon enough. I said straight away in my notes that Hazards played a massive part in this match.
Not just for one side, but both sides were having a Hazards war and hazard stacking. Because if I looked at the teams correctly, Monotui didn't bring removal this game, and Kelly had Fortress, but that went down very early on in the game.
Yeah, it was the Flamethrower first turn, and he was able to get his rocks up, and that was it was able to brought down to a Sturdy, and that was pretty much about it for the Fortress. But it's definitely a Pokemon that can be used very differently. But it'd be interesting to see how it's used this year. It's definitely, if I pause on the teams now, obviously it was one thing that I found very interesting was the raw Darmanitan, and I said how that different switches in from that raw could have changed the game completely.
It was a very early indicator of how the match would play out, because right away you have, because of the roar, 2 different Mons on Monotoui's team that have taken so much damage already from rocks and a layer of spikes, which are already up at that point. Mm-hmm. And Roar Darmanitan, which was a bulky set that was meant to take on Victini, which I thought was really interesting prep.
Yeah, Victini's definitely, obviously being Mono's first round pick, it's definitely the main thing that people are going to have to watch out for and prep for, because he, as showed, will come in when he needs to and just take a life.
It's such a scary,
like nothing.
Such a scary Pokemon with V-Create having so many limited switch-ins, and then you could also bring a special set which makes your switch-ins completely different. So finding one thing on your team that can come in on Victini and scare it out or KO it is such a hard thing to find. So I thought that was a really creative check to Victini on Kelly's part, even though in the end it did end up going down to the Victini.
But it's interesting because I don't know if a lot of people would think maybe the Greninja could square up to Victini, because obviously being it so quick. Obviously Victini being so robust with it, obviously Bulk Strike would absolutely annihilate the Greninja.
Greninja is definitely a solid offensive check to Victini, especially if you think it's going to be Scarf and you can bring a Water Shuriken.
Yeah.
And just threaten it out with its dual stab, both doing massive damage.
But I say both dual stabs on Greninja are super effective against Victini. One interesting play I'd say was Kelly's Mew. Was obviously Mew being something that can completely change the game depending on the set it was. It didn't do as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, Mew is like, people argue that it's the best Mon in draft format because of how versatile it is. And while that can be true for certain scenarios, it often gets too easily pigeonholed into a certain role that you need for your team. And I thought this match, Mew wasn't able to shine like the way that I like to see it shine.
Yeah, I'm sure throughout the season that Mew definitely will be able to shine. As I say, and so many people think it's the best Pokemon in draft format. Kelly's a very good battler. I'm sure he's going to be able to use it really well during the season.
And Kelly also has the Kyurem Black, which is
scary.
While it's not regarded always as the best in the format, it certainly was the most expensive one last season, and if I recall, banned the season before.
There's a reason for it. There's a reason why. There's only 3 Pokemon that are worth more, and we spoke about all 3, which are Jirachi, Manaphy, Mew, and then Kyurem Black is 18. Those other 3 are 19. So he's got 2 Kelly straight away, 2 massive threats, being 19 and 18 million straight away with Kyurem Black and Mew. And he's definitely going to be able to use them both during the season really effectively.
Absolutely, especially with Kyurem Black being a Z Crystal user, which we got to see the Corkscrew Crash, which probably one of the most amazing animations.
Yeah, they all look pretty awesome.
They all look pretty awesome.
So going on to Mono's team, Hydreigon. I love Hydreigon. It's awesome. Swampert was used well. It was there when it needed to be there. It set up the rocks. I've adjusted Kothgrag before. It's definitely something that shouldn't be underlooked.
A proper set
Licky.
with Calm Mind, Rest Talk, and Shadow Ball can do massive damage to any team that's under prepped for it. I
think something that Mono's going to be able to do as well is the Toxic Spikes is very popular among Kothgrag.
Yeah, especially since he showed like how strong of a hazards game he can have. Getting the extra layer of damage will be hopefully significant in the
it's going to be huge. Because in this, what he had Stealth Rocks with the Swampert, He had the spikes with the Klefki. Klefki for me was very crucial in this game. He did its job very well. It pretty much stalled out the Mew. It took a Z from Kieran Black to take it out. It was doing so much. The MVP for me for this battle, I probably would give it to Klefki. I know Victini come in and finished up, but Klefki I think did a lot of the base work.
Klefki
for mono.
Klefki certainly did, as you said, the base work to get him into the position where he needed to win.
Yeah, definitely. It was, like I said, it was only a 1-0. It was very close, a very entertaining battle. I can't wait to see both of them what they do next week. In terms of strategy, it's going to be very interesting. Like I say, it's so exciting. Starting off a new season, seeing everyone's first week performances, and you wanted to know how well they're going to do next week. And I'm sure both these guys. I don't think Kelly should get down in any way. He played a brilliant game this match.
There's no reason for him to get down. This was a very strong battle, and just when you're just -1 differential, that's very easy to bounce back from, and especially after such a strong showing against one of the better battlers in the entire format.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Even though it's a loss, he's come out of the gate really strongly. He may have lost, but he's definitely come out showing that he's here, and he's definitely going to be up there, I think, by the end of the season. He's nothing to be taken lightly in any way, shape or form. It should feel like they're not overlooked, because a lot of people, like, when they talk about teams, they think about Shoddy obviously being a past winner, but that's the thing. We've got past winners in here, and as I say, anyone can beat anyone. A past winner of D1, Shroom is now in D2. So that's what I mean. They should go into every match thinking that they can beat anyone, because they can, and I think everyone should be like that.
Absolutely. And this season obviously can be anyone's season. It's just the first week, and well, let's see how it goes from here. But first, let's move on to the last match of the first week, which was Shoddy and Bayern Munich versus Will McCarty and the Buffalont Bills. And a lot of people going into this match have been really praising Shoddy's team, ranked highest in the post-draft power rankings, and for a very good reason. You've got probably the most one of those best mons in the entire league with Jirachi. You have Mega Charizard X.
It's Mega Charizard X. It takes lives.
And which I was super surprised to see this come back to him in the third round. Tapu Fini, which those three together just make an insane core.
Massive insane.
Which he brought this week in addition to his Rotom, Seismitoad, and Aerodactyl, the Z Crystal user.
Mm-hmm.
Which versus Makati, who brought his Mega Pinsir, Hippowdon, Tangrowth, Druddigon, Basculin, the base god,
and Basculin,
and Hitmonlee.
We said about this, like, I know Will personally. I've had a chance to meet him and talk to him probably, and I know how much of a fantastic battler he is. And I have to admit, I was a bit surprised. I know how good Shoddy is, but I did think that this would be closer than it actually was. I'm sure Will come back next week with all guns blazing. Like I said, his Hitmonlee set was... I just put Hitmonlee set was really cool.
The Hitmonlee set was very cool. With the Unburden set with the Lychee Berry.
Unburden set.
And then you have a Reversal.
Reversal. That's cool.
It could have...
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Even when he was about to... When it was 4-1, he was so close to just like coming back with the set. And the only problem with it is Makati, I thought, put like all of his eggs into the Hitmonlee basket and was just focusing on baiting in the Tapu Fini to KO it, so Hitmonlee had a clean sweep at the end. But unfortunately, due to that, I think he lost a lot of early game momentum with the Hippowdon like going down so early.
Shoddy gained so much momentum, and then he was able to just willow off everything. And obviously, being the Hippowdon being physical, the Tangrowth, it really only had knockoff, and you could see it wasn't doing anything to the Rotom. Dragagon not able to get a kill against the Seismitoad, but they both had a back and forth battle, and it's able to get the Dragagon down a bit. And the Basculin trying his very best to final gambit against Jirachi, but Jirachi obviously being able to take it and picking up a load of kills. Was it 3-0?
It went 3-1 this match, but it was still
3-1. Oh yeah, went down, didn't he?
Had the top kills for the game.
For the game for Shoddy, but yeah, definitely two battlers that I was looking forward to that when I found out it was Shoddy and Will. I was definitely saying that it's going to be a close one. Shoddy coming out the bat, the gate, swinging with all guns blazing, that makes total sense. But I'm trying to say, people say Shoddy's definitely a threat, and people joke about it, but he's definitely someone that you do need to keep your eye on. There's a reason why he always finishes so high, and why he's always talked about so much in terms of competitive battling. Can't speak now.
And this was also a match where Mega Charizard X didn't even get the chance to hit the field. Which
that's true. He didn't get a chance to properly use it, which it's strange. Obviously, being such a powerhouse and being able to do so much, it wasn't even needed.
But you have Jirachi
on
carrying
side.
Well, I wouldn't say carrying the team, but really showing like why it's such a good Pokemon. This match.
It shows why he's a first round pick. He's a 19 million for a reason, and it just showed. First week, it's just showed straight away why this thing is. It's Haxy with its Iron Head, Zen Headbutt for stay if you want to. It played a massive role, and it's going to play a massive role in Shoddy's team. The fact that Shoddy has it, people said, is very scary, because he will use it to its full potential, and I know he will. But taking nothing away from Will, he did try his best to deal with it, and like I said, Hitmonlee was awesome. I can't wait to see what other awesome ideas Will comes up with for certain mons. I can see Delphox being used quite well, and Raichu. I'm a massive fan of Raichu. Only being 5 million, I'd like to see it do some work this season.
For that value, Raichu is fantastic.
Well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Which electric types in the league are crucial, and if you have the matchup right, Raichu is heavily underrated.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a massive fan of Skarmory as well. I can understand why he didn't bring it. It doesn't do anything really to Shoddy's team. Maybe it could be a hazards, but looking at the drafts, I can understand why you didn't bring Skarmory this week. Obviously, with Mega Charizard X pretty much walling it completely. But taking up away from Will, he's got being one of the there's only 4 members of the league that was able to get the maximum amount of Pokemon from their draft. So being one of them is able to gives them a lot more variety to use, and I'm sure Will being able to use it well. And Mega Pinsir, Charlie dealt with Mega Pinsir very well, but Mega Pinsir is definitely scary, and I can see Will picking up a load of kills with Mega Pinsir this season.
Absolutely. Mega Pinsir is just such a good mon, and when you've got a coach like Makati, who even with this 4-0 loss, we still know that he is an amazing player, and him with Mega Pinsir is, if that doesn't scare everyone, then
it should. Basically, it should.
It should.
So that's it in terms of the games for this week. Like I say, we had a 5-0 from Eric to kick off the league, which was, it's a 5-0. We also had a 4-0. I keep forgetting who plays for who. I need to learn the coaches. It was a 4-0. I've got it here somewhere.
Oh, we had 2 4-0s, so we have
2 4-0s. Yeah, Jolt and Trav getting a 4-0 against Jolt,
and Shoddy getting a 4-0 against Will. So even though these two teams are tied in terms of record and differential at this point in time, the rules are the next thing that comes is alphabetized order. So technically, in terms of the league table, Shoddy is over Jolt, but that is again, just because of alphabetical order. The same reason for the next coaches online, we have Ruby Marrow and the Cleveland Bros, Melbourne Victory Stars, and then the Tampa Bay Lux Rays. 6 teams with the win right now.
That's it. It's like I said, it's only the first week. Obviously, it's hard on for Jordan. He's got a -5 differential, but I'm sure different weeks will tell, and things are going to change. Obviously, the winners getting off to a great start. It's definitely going to be very interesting to see what happens. Like I said, we've said this a couple of times. Interesting to see what happens next week with different people. And I'm actually going to look at the fixtures of who's playing next week. So we have... What have we got next week? We got Norwich Skitty playing...
Pollymag and the West Coast Wingles.
Pollymag. So that's going to be an interesting one because those are...
2 0-1 teams. Both of them really hungry for getting the first win. And
about to say they both lost -3. So hopefully they're going to be find out to get their first win.
Unfortunately, someone's going to have to go 0-2 that game. I'd really like to see both of them. Well, I'd be very happy to see one of them pick up a win, and very sad to see one of them get their first loss. But that's what happens.
It's just
the beginning of the season, and we're going to have to.
So then we got Seattle Onyx against Cleveland Bros, so both winners from the first week. Going to be going. We've got Eric, obviously going to be seeing if he can carry that momentum from the 5-0, going up against Ruby. So that's going to be interesting to see if they can continue. Both.
It's going to be a very exciting game to watch, indeed. Both coaches have a really, really solid teams and really fantastic momentum from the first week, and I think they both have what it takes to make a really great game next week.
Easy. And then we got Toronto Star Raptors against Melbourne Victory Star. Again, 2 teams winning their first week, so someone's going to continue their momentum and go 2-0, and one's going to go 1-1. Both coming out strongly. Like I said, it's going to be in the second week's always going to be interesting to see who either continues their momentum or bounces back from the first week if they've lost or anything. But I think all the matches each week are going to be close. I don't think maybe we'll get some sweeps throughout the season. It might come down to prep. Like I said, sometimes it'll come down to prep or just one misplay. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. We've also got... What have we got after that? We have Tampa Bay Lux Rays against Southampton Sneasels. Hopefully Jordan can bounce back. Maybe possibly get his first win of the season against Mono. But I say Mono very strong out the bat. A very close game.
Very close game, and even though it was only a 1-0 victory, I still think Mono had a very strong showing in just... He had a very tough opponent, of course. And even though the differential doesn't show it, I think that was a fantastic way to just get some momentum and play a solid game. So we'll see which comes into play. Being really hungry for a win and getting some positive differential, or just having a really, really solid momentum early on this league.
Yeah, next we got Shoddy and Trav playing next week. Obviously, Bayern Munich and Canberra. I can't speak. I'm going to cough, that's why. Canberra to Cannons. So, obviously, Trav's going to be wanting to come out strong and show everyone that Shoddy is beatable. But Shoddy's definitely going to be interesting to watch for the season. He's one of those players where he can bring anything and make something maybe not useful work. And Trav, even though Trav lost, it was a 4-0 Trav lot. I still think he played a very good game. I think it was one of those where he was unlucky in terms of plays. Like I said when we were recapping, so it's going to be interesting to see them two next week and seeing what happens.
And I think this week, if Trav has a chance to really show himself, because we all know he's a great battler. Everyone in this league is a great battler, but we all know Trav has a lot more a lot more to show. And I think if any week is the week, like if he can pull out a win against Shoddy, that's gonna be really huge for him. Not just to
it'd be huge. It'd be a massive boost. Confidence was, I think, it'd be a massive boost. Obviously, losing if he was able to overcome Shoddy, who we know that all these guys are great. They're in Division 1 for a reason. They're obviously good battles because they're in Division 1. They managed to either come up or stay here if they've been here since the beginning. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And then finally we have Will McCarty, Buffalo Bills versus Maryland. We got against Kelly. So another one, two very good battlers. That's probably the. I think that's going to be my shout for next week, being a very close game.
It's certainly going to be a match to watch out for because like you said, two fantastic coaches. Both games were both of their week 1 games were really great games to watch, and we got a chance for we've got two 0-1 teams who are really looking for the first win to get some great momentum going into the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I want to mention this again. Really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, 100%. So those are the matches for next week, guys. Of course, if you are new around here, new to the PPL, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to get any updates on anything going on in the PPL. But let's quickly move on to the Golden Pokeball Awards for after the first week. There are a load of Mons this week. They've got 2-0s, so they're going to be in like 6 up to 10. So I think we're going to focus on the 5 down to 1 for the first week.
Absolutely. We did talk a lot about these Pokemon in their respective games. Currently top of the pack is Diggersby, which has 5 kills and 1 death and a +4 differential. Really solid start to a season if Diggersby really wants to get into the race.
Yeah, what I'd like to see is just that only one of these top 5, I believe, it was a first round pick, which is very interesting. There's the fact that that it shows that it's not always the. I'm just having a quick look through to make sure I am right with that. I am right with that. The only top 5 that was a first round pick was actually number 5, which was Rachi, which was
right.
Shoddy's.
Landorus was a second round pick, which is currently number 2 in the pack, with 4 KOs and 0 deaths and a +4 differential, as well as Diggersby, which we talked about. Eric just knew what he needed to win his.
He knew when the right time was to bring this thing in. Obviously, say he set up the sub, one SD, and it was pretty GG.
Yeah, and while it was the second round pick, it was actually on the wheel, so it was second round pick, but 13th overall.
Yeah,
which is worth noting. But
I say, because like I said earlier, it's one of my favourite competitive mons, and it was 13th pick. So it just shows that Eric's done what Eric did well to use it properly.
And now both tied for third in terms of number of kills, but again, Alphabet coming into the tiebreaker. We have Heliolisk and Scolipede, both 3 kills, 0 deaths. Both.
It's just, as you said, we talked about them respectively in the game. Helio having the solar power, modest specs, was able to do a lot of damage, taking out the Gastro early on was a massive factor.
And Scolipede
coming in at the end and doing what he needed to do.
Just a fantastic late game cleaner that checks for it were either burned or not there, and just needed to set up the SD to sweep in the end.
Yeah.
And then we have Jirachi in 5th place with 3 kills and 1 death. And like we said, Shoddy just played with it phenomenally, and it's considered one of the top mons in the league for a reason. And this was I thought was a bulkier set. So if we can see Jirachi just bringing more unique sets that it can do, I think it's going to be a strong contender for this race to the top. I expect
definitely being a bulky set and still managing to pick up 3 kills shows that you don't need all out power to get kills.
I absolutely expect to see Jirachi on this list for the entire season to come.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100% there.
And then we have, like we said, a lot of Mons with very similar stats for the rest of the list. We have Victini and Tauros both having gone 2-0 this first week.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of 2-1 Mons. Some of them may not even appear on the list. Kyurem Black, Greninja, Infernape, Garchomp, and Hydreigon. And all of those Mons did a very fantastic job in their respective games. Some of them even cleaning up at the end when there are only a few more Mons to pick off. All very powerful offensive powerhouses.
Interesting to see, like we said earlier, how we'd love to see Tauros do really well this season and being such an underrated Mon and overlooked. We'd love to see it top in the list. I'd love to see it top of the list. That'd be amazing. We'd like to see it competing with some higher Mons to show its uses.
Yeah, so that's it for this recap. We went over some really fantastic games.
Is that us done?
Saw how everyone's
done
stacking up in the league so far and which Pokemon are getting the most kills in this race. So I'm terrible with outros, but I hope everyone enjoyed this. And like we mentioned earlier, please subscribe to the channel and all of your favorite coaches. And stick around for next week and the power ranking video coming up after this one. And yeah, I'm bad with outros. So
you're bad. Alright guys, that is us finished for this week. We've been talking for nearly an hour. If you stuck around to the end, thank you so much for watching. Like Trav just said, if you're new around here, new to the PPL, definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. All the links to all the coaches will be in the description. Our links will also be down there if you want to check us out. Hit us up on Twitter. All the links have been on your screen and in the description below. We're going to get up out of here. Hope you've enjoyed, and we will see you guys soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.